All right, Grand Rising to you, man. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us here today. New Black Wall Street Book Club. Hey, it's time for us to get right back into this thing, guys. Hopefully had a wonderful holiday. Happy holidays to you as we're getting back into the swing of things. So we get another holiday time coming up, man. Good morning, good morning. While you guys are joining, go and let us know where you're connecting from. What city, what state, what country, what city, what state, what country. Go ahead and hit that like and share button as well. That click button there, whatever button you can click. Go ahead and hit that heart button, whatever buttons you can hit on the screen. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram Live. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Time to get the show on the road. You know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
New Black Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. Yeah. We all just come together. There's no limit for us.
Peter Grant, what's going on, man?
New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
Hey, Grand Rising to you, billionaires. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put in a book, we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. That book there is a study of Black wealth. That book there is a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe that if you want to be wealthy, that's a big if, by the way, because I realize that everybody don't want to be rich. Everybody want to go through what it takes to be rich. But if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. What's going on, Gladys? Thanks so much for joining. Bonjour, au revoir, whatever the case that may be, man. You pick up that book by simply going to the website, theblackbillionairesclub.com. That's right, theblackbillionairesclub.com. You can pick up your copy today, man. The study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today. And I'm just saying, if you want to be rich, you happen to be Black, why aren't you studying these people? Well, I'll tell you why. Because you probably didn't know that they existed. That's why I wrote the book, for you to know what you don't know, and you can learn what you haven't learned so you can get what you haven't gotten yet. Because it's on its way to you. As long as you put your focus and your energy towards it, you absolutely can acquire it. Don't be the person that says that all things are possible, then say, oh, it's not possible. That makes absolutely no sense. Either you believe or you don't. And if you don't believe, well, Lord, help their unbelief. That's right, Lord, help their unbelief. In the comments below, I'd like for you to share where you're connected from, what city, what state, what city, what state, what country. Want to know how far our reach is this morning as we are getting ready to dive into some good old literature here on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Good morning to you, Miss Jennifer Alwiner over on Facebook. Miss Vivian Reed, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us here today from Brooklyn, NYC, right? Brooklyn's up. Grand Rising to you, Mr. Peter Grant, man. Thanks so much for joining. I know you was rocking it. You was kicking that thing down over here on the holidays, man. Peter Grant, man, Charleston, South Carolina. Oh, we coming to Charleston in 2020. Thanks so much for joining us. Miss Yvette Goodrich, good morning to you, man. Over in Boston, Massachusetts. Thanks so much for joining us here today on New Black Wall Street Book Club. Miss Gladys Chateau, man, from Manhattan. You in Manhattan now? You need to be in, Gladys, you need to be in Queens, because you're a queen. You need to be in Queens. Gladys over in Manhattan, New York City, man. Thanks so much for joining. Miss I Am Kimbro. You know what it is. You know what it is, that Midwest, that Windy City, Chicago, representing here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Man, Miss Sear, thanks so much for joining us from Mapleton, Georgia. Good morning to you. Miss Selena Spooney from Akron, Ohio. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Man, thanks so much for being here, guys. Hit that like button, that share button if you care, the like button, the share button if you care. If you guys don't know, we're broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, and also Instagram, and we actually got a goal. That's right. We got an end-of-year goal, an end-of-decade goal, and that goal is to reach 1,000, get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So if you haven't already, go ahead and go to YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us get to our goal, right? You say, ask and you shall receive. Well, I'm asking this morning, and I'm expecting to receive, because my Lord never lets me down. That's right. My Lord never lets me down, man. Today's episode is being sponsored by ERGJ Black Bazaar, the Afrocentric Marketplace, where we specialize in Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, and also natural and also Black art inspired gifts. And you can actually find this shirt. That's right, Black Folk Jewelry. We're gonna make a sweatshirt out of it too, by the way. But you can find this shirt by simply going to the website www.ergjblackbazaar.com. www.ergjblackbazaar.com. When you get there, click on apparel, and you will find a Black Folk Jewelry t-shirt. You can find that right there at ergjblackbazaar.com. On the back, you'll find the back. Our portion says, put it in the book, and I will find it. That's right. Put it in the book, and I will find it, man. Go ahead and check out the website, www.ergjblackbazaar.com, www.ergjblackbazaar.com. Want you guys to remember this, that once you shop Black, you never go back. That's right. Once you shop Black, you never go back. ergjblackbazaar.com, the Afrocentric marketplace. Now let's really get right into this thing here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. We are going to start our journey into our daily motivations for African American success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. That's right, daily motivations for African American success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. And we're going to start here with our title of today, which is, I put the wrong, let me put it in here, which is Fat Free. Our title today is Fat Free. Okay, Fat Free. Everybody put that in comments below. Fat Free. Fat Free. Oh, you got the book, haven't got a chance to read it. Plenty of people got the book, Miss Goodrich, and ain't got a chance to read it. Still sitting on the shelf collecting dust, but at least you got the book. That's a start. That's right, Fat Free. And our quote today comes from a Suzette Charles, the former Miss America. Suzette Charles, she says this, and I quote, "I've been up and down, and up and down. It ain't the scale, it's what's in your head." Miss Suzette Charles says this, and I quote, "I've been up and down, and up and down. It ain't the scale, it's what's in your head." Well, my beautiful people, I guess it begs the question this morning. What's in your head? How'd you wake up this morning in your head? Did you wake up in your head well? Or did you wake up in your head sick? Did you wake up in your head free of worry or worryful? Did you wake up in your head stress-free or stressful? How did you wake up in your head this morning? Did you wake up optimistic or pessimistic? Are you looking at the brighter things in life or the dark side of life? How did you wake up this morning in your head? It's not the scale, it's what's in your head. As a man or as a woman thinketh, so is he or she. As a man or as a woman thinketh, so is he or she. Let's get our motivation this morning. See what Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro has got to say to us today here on this beautiful, phenomenal planet. Let's read. Good morning to you, Mr. A.V. Knowles. Thanks so much for joining. We step on the bathroom scale in the morning, discover to our horror that we weigh 1 pound more than we did yesterday. From that moment on, our day is ruined. We stand before the bathroom mirror and say, "I'm fat." Our preoccupation with that single pound impinges on and influences everything we do. We approach our workouts, for example, solely in terms of calorie burning, so that they become more remedies for a problem that the enjoyable life activities they are meant to be. Those of us who get caught up in the obsessive approach to weight loss or life in general know that it can sabotage our health and turn us into emotional wrecks. At such times, we need to focus on our overall well-being. The fact is, compulsiveness is seldom rewarded because it can never be satisfied. The person who thinks that there's always more to do, that there can never be enough, is bound to be frustrated. There are times when enough is simply enough. Everybody put in comments, so enough is enough. There are times when enough is simply enough. And when we perform at this level, we remove the fat from our lives. Perhaps we are involved in a difficult relationship and have done everything possible to make it work. We cheat ourselves if we hold on to something that reason tells us is unworkable. It's probably time to remove the fat and move on. When we have given all our all in our job and our efforts still go unnoticed, we can say, let's drop the fat and search for more promising employment. There are instances in our life after we have worked hard enough, waited long enough, and loved enough when obsession is counterproductive. At this moment, it's better to approach our extra baggage with objectivity, not with dread. It's better to just drop your burdens and become fat-free. It's better to drop your burdens and become fat-free. Well, my beautiful people, is enough simply just enough? Are you in a difficult relationship and you've done everything possible you can to make it work? Is it time to remove the fat and move on? Have you been dealing with that job long enough? You realize forward progression just simply isn't there. It's time to start looking for more promising employment. Are there instances in your life where you've worked hard enough, you've waited long enough, and you have loved enough? Enough. Now, clearly, as we're talking about this, billionaires, there's something that's popping up in your head saying, you know what? Yeah, that word enough, as I think about this situation, whatever that is for you, maybe it's enough. Maybe it's time to cut the fat. Maybe you need to become fat-free. See, when you free your mind, then the rest will follow. Here's our affirmation today, beautiful people. Here's what you want to allow to take root into your subconscious, your heart. And then you can grow and develop this thing by repeating it over and over and over again until it brings forth a harvest into your life. See, there's power of life and death is in the tongue. So we're going to use our tongue this morning to bring power into our life. Repeat after me. Today, I pledge to free myself from burdens in my life. Let's do it again. Repeat after me. Our affirmation of the day. Today, I pledge to free myself from burdens in my life. It's very interesting, I think, this affirmation, because we're talking about freeing ourselves, freeing myself, which means if I freed myself, quite possibly, maybe I enslaved myself as well by how I think, by how I look at particular things in my life, by what I allow. Affirmation today, let's do it one more time for the people in the back, people in the way back. We want to make sure they know we mean business. This time, say it with some conviction, like you really mean it, so you can bring forth a harvest into your life. Repeat after me. Today, I pledge to free myself from burdens in my life. Well, billionaires, what's holding you down? As you hear that word or you think about that word burden, what is burdening you right now, if you have one? What do you need to free yourself from? Who do you need to free yourself from? What ideologies do you need to free yourself from? What beliefs do you need to free yourself from? What is holding you back? A burden that you need to free yourself from. You realize no one else can free you from it. You realize as long as you've been holding on to this thing, however long it's been, it's time to free myself. You're saying, you know what? This is a good time to do it too. I mean, I might as well let it go in 2019 and don't carry it with me in 2020. I might as well drop this thing at the end of this decade so I don't start the new decade with it. Free yourself. So you can be a lean, mean fighting machine. I pledge to free myself from burdens in my life. Fat-free. Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. Well, guys, do want to let you guys know we do have a new sponsor alert, new sponsor today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Of course, you can be a sponsor as well. If you'd like for us to shout you out and let people know about what you do, your business, and all that good stuff across all our different platforms. This is also going to be a podcast that'll be uploaded as well. You can find across all different platforms as New Black Wall Street Book Club as a podcast across Google, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, all that good stuff as well. And our new sponsor is going to be none other than Big Sis Media. That's right. Big Sis Media is our new sponsor. We'll say thanks so much for Big Sis Media for sponsoring this show. They are a full service creative design agency. Big Sis Media Group is a full service design agency with tools available to help clients communicate with audiences through visual and digital media. They're here to watch over your most critical creative needs like a Big Sis would. You can check them out at www.bigsismediagroup.com. www.bigsismediagroup.com. And here's the deal, guys. I want to let you know I've been working with Big Sis Media for quite a while, and they take care of all of my digital stuff. So anytime you see something dope come across, like these shirts that I wear or anything like that, that's Big Sis Media, who actually is the brain, is the design behind all the stuff that you see here on New Black Wall Street Book Club. Okay, so you see the artwork, you see some other stuff going on, the website. That's all Big Sis Media. So make sure you check out www.bigsismediagroup.com for all your creative and design, your full service creative design agency to get the help from a big sis like a big sis would. Okay, that's our sponsor for today. Thanks so much for joining us here today again on the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Now, here's the deal, guys. We're going to get right into our meter today. We just got through with our affirmation appetizer. We're going to get right into the meat of what we're going to be discussing here today, which is Black Fortunes. Now, this book is written by Mr. Shomari Wills, and it's the story of the first 6 African Americans to escape slavery and become millionaires. And we're now into chapter 13, which is going to be talking about the last days of Mary Ellen Pleasant. So if you guys remember, I mean, this was probably about 4 or 5 chapters ago, talking about Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant. She was, she was a diva before divas was even a word. She was a boss chick that did all this stuff. And we're going to be talking about her last days here on in chapter 13. Now, this is only one part, though. Once we finish this part, we'll be ending chapter 13. But, man, we're going to put some respect on Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant's name. And I believe last time we were with Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant, she was in San Francisco, I believe. I don't know if she remarried. It's like a few chapters ago. But let's get right into this thing, man. Chapter 13, Black Fortunes, the last days of Mary Ellen Pleasant. The last days of Mary Ellen Pleasant. Okay. When is it going to start? Oh, my phone's slow. What's up, Corey Bill? At this very second, I free myself from self-imposed burdens I place in my life. Absolutely. Big Sis Media, fire. Absolutely. The last days of Mary Ellen Pleasant. Everybody put it down on Mary Ellen Pleasant. We're going to put some respect on this woman's name. One of the first African Americans to escape slavery and become a millionaire. Okay. Let's read. In 1892, she was 77 years old. Mary Ellen Pleasant purchased a ranch in California, Sonoma Valley. The grounds of her new home spanned more than 900 acres and were set against a backdrop of green mountains. The property had acres of crops and pastures, a lake, a horse racing track, a vineyard, and several guest houses. There she spent $50,000 or about $1.5 million in today's time to build a mansion after spending $100,000 or $3 million to purchase the property from John Drummond, a famous California winemaker. She built it to resemble the mansions on southern plantations with a wraparound porch and balcony held up by white pillars, where she was often perched in a rocking chair, enjoying the cool breezes of California's wine country. Her ranch was her most public display of her wealth, and she used it to send up her critics. The papers had refused to call her by her given name since her streetcar trial, referring to her in print not as Mary Ellen, but as Mammy. She hated the epitaph and returned letters addressed to Mammy Pleasant without opening them. She had been born free in the North, but the race-baiting journalism spread rumors that she was a Southern slave or voodoo priestess from New Orleans. Some people have reported I was born in slavery, but as a matter of fact, I was born in Philadelphia, she said. Her plantation-style estate was perhaps a way of having a laugh at her detractors. How many guys know, as you level up in life, you're going to have a whole lot of people trying to smear your name. Yeah, you're going to have a whole bunch of people that's going to hate on your success. And if Mary Ellen Pleasant is dealing with this in 1892, what makes you think that you're not going to keep dealing with that in 2019? Matter of fact, I was talking to a good sister of mine last night. She said, you know what? If I got haters, that must mean that I'm doing something. Yeah, it means that you're actually doing something. See, here's the deal. Why would someone hate on you if you're doing absolutely nothing? There's no reason for them to hate on you because you're not making any waves, you're not making any noise, you're not making a difference. But when you start doing something, when you start doing something for others, when you start making a difference in the lives of others, when you start serving to a higher degree, that's when the haters come out. And when the haters or the detractors or the trolls come out, that's when you know you're actually making progress. You're moving in a way that God would have you move. Because every servant of the good Lord will go through some type of persecution. Would you agree? And then my question to you is, well, why are you trying to avoid persecution when you know that every servant must go through persecution of some sort, in some way? You gotta have haters because you're not going to make everybody happy. Unfortunately, I hate to tell you this morning. It don't matter what you do. You could be the most sweetest, kindest taboo, and somebody not going to like you. And if you're going to deal or learn or just concerned with one person, when you're making a difference in 1,000 people's lives, something must be wrong with you. Why would you spend all your time on one bad attitude when you got 20,000, 20 million, 200,000 attitudes that are pretty positive? They like what you're doing. Ask yourself, are you going to focus on this few, or are you going to make the difference for the many? Let me ask that question again for the people in the back. Are you going to focus your attention on the few who hate? Or are you going to keep your attention focused on the many who love? That's called maturity. That's called maturity. Hey, Gladys said, man, you know you're wealthy when you have a mountain as a backdrop to your land. I know that's right, Gladys. That's right, man. You know you got some, she is sitting on some paper. In 1892, as she was preparing to spend her first summer at her new home, she received a telegram from the estate of the former California governor, Newton Booth. He and Pleasant had remained fond of each other after he was elected governor of California, had kept in contact over the many years, and he had left her house for the governor's mansion in Sacramento. The envelope was delivered to Pleasant, contained a message inside. Booth was dead. The letter said that one of Booth's last requests had been that she attended his funeral. Booth's death hit Pleasant just as hard as the deaths of her husbands had. She had met Frederick Douglass and John Brown and rubbed shoulders with the millionaires of San Francisco, but she believed that Booth was the most brilliant man she had ever met. At Sacramento City Cemetery, Booth was laid to rest in front of hundreds of friends and mourners. The cemetery was canopied with trees and cherry blossoms. Booth was buried in a plot of underneath a tree with red blooms on its branch. As Booth's pallbearers carried his coffin to his grave, Pleasant followed behind them with tears streaming down her face. She shook so heavily with sobs as they lowered Booth into the ground that she had to be escorted out of the cemetery. After the funeral, she went to stay at Thomas Bell's mansion. Bell's wife, Teresa, decided to spend the summer at Pleasance Ranch, leaving Pleasant and Thomas to run their mansion and the staff. At 8:30 p.m. on August 15th of 1892, Thomas retired to his bedroom on the third floor of the house. Shortly afterward, Pleasant retired to her own room. At 10:30, after a loud crash, one of the servants discovered Thomas unconscious on the ground floor of the house. Having fallen 20 feet from the top of the stairs, doctors were immediately called, but he never regained consciousness and died at 1:30 a.m. The coroner came to the house to question Pleasant and Bell's son, Thomas Frederick Bell Jr., who was also in the house when Thomas Bell fell from the stairs. Teresa rushed back from Sonoma Valley after her husband's death. Mr. Bell had been ailing for about 2 weeks now and had been in bed since last Monday, Pleasant told the inspector. He was badly run down, the doctor said, and besides, he had trouble with his skin that just kept him in torture. The coroner questioned the servants at the house and the doctors who had treated him after the fall. After examining Bell's body and reviewing his interview notes, the coroner ruled Bell's death an accident. Journalists showed up at the house almost immediately after Bell's death. In headlines, they dubbed the mansion the House of Mystery and implied that Pleasant had killed Bell. Pleasant wasn't shy about pushing back. Of course, we don't know just how the accident happened. Nobody does, the 78-year-old Pleasant explained. But we think Mr. Bell may have been dazed when he started down to the kitchen. I think he got to the bottom of the upper flight and then fell over the railing from the first step. The railing is low and it would have been easy to fall from the stairs. Bell was buried in a cemetery on the top of a hill in the west of San Francisco. His estate, which consisted of railroad stock, mining claims, and about $1 million in cash, was valued at $30 million or $827 million in today's term. Bell left a third of it to Teresa and stipulated that the estate pay her a monthly allowance of $5,000 or $68,000 to care for their children. The courts later lowered that amount to $2,000 or $27,000. I guess that's monthly in today's term. Wait a second. So where's the other part? Okay, now what we're talking about now is this guy named Mr. Thomas Bell, who fell from the stairs and passed away. He was a millionaire, and he left an inheritance, which is considered to be the estate, right? And he left millions of dollars. Okay, mining. We're talking about railroad stock, and you guys got any stock, by the way? Because we're mining claims, right? $1 million in cash. We're talking about a diversified portfolio. Everybody put in console portfolio. Now, many of us, we talk about this thing called leaving wealth, but first we got to build wealth in order to leave wealth. And there's some other places, or some really main places in this society that we live in today where you build wealth. And you got to ask yourself, as you look at your own portfolio, are you in these places? Number one, real estate, right? Do you own any real estate, right? That you own. Oh, now the house that you live in that you're paying a 30-year note on, you don't own that while you're still paying it by the way. Do you own some real estate? Right? Do you own some stock? Which is where you own pieces of other companies that run this great country called America or China or wherever. Do you own some stock? He had mining stocks that he owned, that he could pass down to the next generation as being a part of their ownership in the land of plenty, the land flowing with milk and honey. So you can literally own land or own the companies that improve the land, right? Do you have some claims? Do you have some cash reserves? You own a business? These are great questions to ask yourself. You're looking at, or you're studying millionaires and stuff that they do in order to leave an inheritance to their children's children. They build a diversified portfolio filled with wealth. How about you? See, I want you to understand billionaires and future billionaires and billionaires in training, your savings account ain't going to be enough. That ain't enough. That's basic. That ain't enough. But once you start to learn how to multiply your money by putting your savings into investing into these things, well, then over time, everybody put in console, over time, you can build you an empire that you can then transfer to the next generation and beyond. So the question is, what do you own? Ownership is the key. Ownership is the key. Before Belle died, Pleasant asked Belle not to put her in his will, for she felt that she had paid her fairly when he was alive. She didn't need anything else. She had her own fortune, which included real estate, boarding houses, stocks, cash. She had a net worth close to $1 million. Now, Mary Ellen Pleasant, this was in 1892. She owned real estate. She had boarding houses, where it means that she was a landlord of some sort. She had stocks. She had cash. She had her own fortune. And she was like, I don't need anything from you. You done gave a third to your wife. I don't know what the other 2/3 going to. I guess we're going to find out in a second. Right? And her net worth was close to $1 million already in late 1800s, but right around 1900, which is about 120 years ago. Now, if Mary Ellen Pleasant could do it, why aren't we? If she could do it in 1900, surely you and I can do it in 2019 going to 2020. Surely it must be a little bit easier for us to do it now than it was back then. Surely. She had been hounded by the press for much of her life, and she knew that her name appearing in Belle's will would only lead to scandal. After Belle's death, Pleasant retired to her ranch in Sonoma Valley. There she was frequently ill and bedridden. Visitors often came to see her and sent her flowers. My bedroom looks like a florist shop, she remarked from her bed. In the years after Belle's death, Frederick and Teresa mismanaged and bickering over his estate. They drained the accounts by spending and bumbling the investments Belle had left them. In 1897, as the estate was running out of money, Frederick took aim at Pleasant. He filed a lawsuit against her, claiming that she had mismanaged his father's estate and insinuating that she had killed Belle by pushing him down the stairs. Pleasant was 83 and ailing when Frederick came after her. This suit has been brought by Fred because some enemies of ours have urged him on, and his actions is too shameful to speak about, she told reporters. Having burned through his father's money, Frederick laid claim to Pleasance, alleging that she had amassed her fortune by stealing from his father. Thousands of dollars had been pilfered by Pleasant, a mammy in disguise, he said. He asserted that Pleasant's personal property, which valued at $200,000 or $5.8 million in today's term, including an expensive jewelry collection, had been bought with money she had belonged to Thomas Belle. So Mr. Belle's son done went through all of his father's money that his father left him. And now he's like, this is what happens when people go broke. It's called financial illiteracy. So the financial illiteracy happens first. Then they mismanage money, or they're bad stewards of what was given to them or what is in their hand. And now they become what we call desperate. And when you become desperate, when you act out of desperation, you're liable to do anything because you're not using a logical mind at this point. You're saying, I got to do, or I'm going to do what's by any means necessary, which I don't really like in this term, but by any means necessary. And now I'm going to go after someone because they got money. This is what happens, man, from desperate people. It's how desperate circumstances calls for desperate measures or something like that. And this brother is desperate. Now, he done went through millions of dollars. But of course, Mr. Belle Jr. will not look in the mirror and say, you know what? I done spent over $1 million. I done spent millions of dollars by myself. And I'm not going to look in the mirror and take personal responsibility for my mishaps when it comes to money. I'm going to try and get money from somewhere else. Let's keep going. The case divided the city, with African Americans siding with the elderly Pleasant in her claim that her money, her property, and possessions were her own. White folks sided with You're right. The white folk getting behind Frederick Bell, the son of Mr. Thomas Bell. Teresa stayed loyal to Pleasant throughout the trial. In 1894, at 80 years of age, Pleasant had signed her estate over to Teresa. Her health failing and with no heirs, she wanted Teresa to have the property and keep it away from Fred. During the trial, she and Teresa holed up at the Sonoma Valley estate. Teresa kept her young children there where they rode horses and played in the orchards. The girls think of nothing but horses and riding, she wrote in her journal. As Fred's case got underway, Teresa feared that Pleasant was going to lose everything. It had probably been a good idea to sign the estate over to her. MP is out looking for bills in the Fred Bell case. I'm in a state of dread, she wrote in her journal. 3 days later, Pleasant lifted Teresa's spirit by buying her a fancy French hat. It was quite an event. I have not had one in years, Teresa recalled, remembering that her spirits had been momentarily lifted. In 1898, she returned the ownership of the ranch to Pleasant so she could take a loan out against it to cover her legal bills. In April of 1899, Pleasant and Teresa got into a fight. One afternoon, a neighbor came over to ask Pleasant to repay a loan he had made to her. Short on cash, Teresa told her not to pay him, but Pleasant insisted on doing so. I have plenty more money, she told Teresa. Teresa retorted angrily that Pleasant was repaying loans and still hadn't deeded the estate back to her. You blackmailer, she shrieked. I have a history of your evil deeds, and I will mail them to the Bancroft Library. You are a thief. You stole an armchair from my house on Clara Street, Pleasant snapped back. The fight escalated into a screaming match, and both women called the police. When the police arrived, they told the women that they would have to resolve their grievance in the civil courts and left. The next day, the dejected Pleasant locked herself in the bathroom. Teresa smashed in the door and told her to leave. Pleasant packed 2 trunks of her things and departed the house. She was snarling like a mad dog, Teresa wrote in her diary. I'm glad, very glad to go, Pleasant said as she left. A crowd was gathered in the streets to witness what was going on, and Teresa took pleasure as they watched the great Mary Ellen Pleasant being humbled. Wow. Pleasant was not so easily defeated. She still had the deeds to the estate and the mansion in the city. As she was thrown out of the house, her creditors attempted to foreclose on her estates. However, they found that her assets were so entangled with Teresa's that it would have been impossible to get anything out of her. Fred wondered if Pleasant had instigated her fight with Teresa and her eviction to foil her creditors. Woo, this is getting interesting. Pleasant split her time between a cottage and a small house in San Francisco. In 1904, she became very ill. She went to stay with the friends of hers, the Sherwoods in San Francisco. On the morning of January 11th, she was in bed and sensed that her death was near. I do not harbor a vindictive thought against the people who have betrayed my friendship or maligned me. And I'm going down to my grave. I forgive them all, she said. To my enemies, I say nothing. To my friends, I say, God bless you all. Her thoughts in her last hours were not of money, but of the fight she had waged for freedom. James made me promise that I would devote a portion of my money he left me to the cause of freeing the slaves, she said. Before I die, I want to let the world know how I tried to keep my promise. In her final moments, she asked her friends to sing an old church song. She hummed along and closed her eyes, and her voice faded out, and she died. Pleasant left behind an estate worth $600,000 or $16.2 million in today's terms. At her height, she had been worth more than $1 million. She was buried under the shade in a big tree in a green meadow in the cemetery in Napa County, California. In Napa County, California. So, and that's the end of chapter 13, by the way. Black Fortunes, the last days of Mary Ellen Pleasant. And I will say, man, this phenomenal woman to deal with, domestic stuff. And I mean, she's damn near 80 years old, man. And you know what it is, guys. And this is what happens, man. And this is one of the things that we teach in the Black Billionaires Club It's not only building your wealth and not only transferring your wealth, but there's a stage in between that before the transfer, and that is actually protecting your wealth. And we must understand this. Not only do we have to protect ourselves from the outside enemy, we also have to protect ourselves from the enemy within. And those enemies could be your own family. Those enemies could be those that's closest to you. Why? Because when you accumulate wealth, there's going to be a lot of vultures, a lot of jealousy, a lot of envy. And think about it. They're sitting over here looking at this woman who has built a mansion with a mountain backdrop. And they got money themselves that they have actually spoiled, mismanaged, gone broke, gone bankrupt. And they know what it's like to have money, and they want more of it. And so even in this particular case, we can't even really go after. Sometimes we can't go after the white folk. We can't go after the system. We can't go after racism. We can't go after all of that. Because some of it comes right from our very own. It could be your family. It could be your son or your daughter. Think about Martin Luther King and all the bickering they went through over his estate. So we must also understand that in her case, she didn't have children. So she didn't have an estate to leave to her, her offspring. But she still, I would say, would have been wise to find something to leave it to. And I guess she said, oh, I'll leave it to Teresa. But my goodness. I mean, what do? Right? You know, built this mass fortune. It's late 1800s, early 1900s. And you got a lot of guap. And your own people are coming after what you have built. Now, this is the sad case. And this happens not only in Black America, this happens in a lot of families of their own, coming after their own. I mean, and I don't know what she could have done better. I mean, she lived the life she wanted to live it. She forgave him. She couldn't take the money with her anyway. But it's sad to hear that at the end of her days of her phenomenal life of making a difference in so many Black folks' lives, that her own, and this wasn't her own family, but just her own period, will be coming after her wealth, what she has built, and fighting her after she's done so much for so many. So our protection, people, we must think of it from all sides, not just white folk coming after our wealth, but our very own coming after our wealth. And we got to protect it against them as well. Yes, you have to protect it against them as well, because at the end of the day, the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money or greed is the root of all evil. And we see that personified in the last days of Mary Ellen Pleasant, that the love of money, Mr. Thomas Bell Jr., the love of money, Miss Teresa, was the root of all evil. And what did it lead to? It led to bickering. It led to fighting. It led to separation. It led to the demise of one of our heroes, Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant, and an estate worth over $16.2 million. This is the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put in a book, and we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, and we invite you not only to pick up the book, The Black Millionaires Club, but also to consider joining our club. The New Black Wall Street Book Club is a part of that club, and it's being brought to you by the Black Millionaires Club. There you'll find opportunities for personal development, opportunities for business development, opportunities to learn about money, and opportunities to learn how to multiply money, which I believe is one of the things that we as Black folk must learn. As we're talking about in the States, these people back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they had learned how to multiply money. They learned how to invest. They learned to invest in the land of plenty, or the land flowing with milk and honey. real estate, stocks, cash investments, their own businesses. And if they could do it in 1900, surely, black folk, we can do it in 2019 and beyond. The question is, will you go to class? Will you show up to learn what you don't know about money? In the comments below, I'd like for you to share something that you learned today. We don't do this just to do this. We do this to make a difference. And we had just went through a little bit of the last chapter 13 in the story of Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant, one of our sheroes, which many of us had never even heard about before. It's not a lady that's talked about Black History Month, but she's a lady before the time of Madam C.J. Walker in the early or late 1800s, early 1900s. So in the comments below, like, share something that you learned today, something that was like, wow, that's crazy. I don't know what it is for you, but was this worth your time and why is the question that we're asking you today. Was this worth your time and why? Again, we want to shout out to our sponsors for today's show. Again, the ERGJ Black Bazaar, the Afrocentric Marketplace, where we specialize in Afrocentric home decor, personal care products, and also Black art-inspired gifts. You can find a t-shirt Black Folk Do Read by going to the website www.ergjblackbazaar.com, www.ergjblackbazaar.com. Also, our other sponsor, our new sponsor today, Big Sis Media. You guys need any help with your digital or your visual or digital needs, check out Big Sis Media by going to the website again, www.bigsismediagroup.com, www.bigsismediagroup.com. Thanks so much, Big Sis, for all that you do for the Black Billionaires Club and the ERGJ brand. Man, Ms. Avi No said, I learned the need to invest in stocks, real estate, and we must protect ourselves. That's right. Must protect ourselves. Miss Yvette Goodrich, I appreciate you, ERGJ, so much. Thanks so much, Miss Goodrich. Thanks so much. Miss Ava said, man, protect your assets on every side. Protect your assets on every side. Absolutely. Well, beautiful people, I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. And I want you to remember this. Oh, Miss Alicia said this over Instagram. I didn't realize I had to protect my money from my own people. We're supposed to be here for each other. Hey, you absolutely do. There's going to be people coming for your wealth from all sides, from outside and the inside. This is what history teaches us, and history continues to repeat itself. So you protect yourself on all sides. That's right. Protect yourself on all sides. If Viv Reed said, man, I've learned that there really is no excuse not to become and be better, so much better. If Mary Ellen Pleasant can do it, so can I. That's right. If Mary Ellen Pleasant could do it in late 1800s, and we're sitting here with everything available that she fought for. She helped free the slaves. She has now put us in a position, our ancestors have put us in a position to have access like we've never had access before. To be able to get knowledge like we've never been able to get before. To learn everything that we want to learn like we couldn't learn before. They put us in position to win. But we have to first learn how to play the game. And then number two, we must get in the game. That's the thing. Our ancestors have put us in position to win. But we have to decide, everybody put in comments, so decide. It's a choice. We have to decide to learn the game. And then we got to decide to play the game. Got to stop being a spectator and become a part of your own financial freedom. Like we said earlier today in our affirmation today, free myself. And then guess what you can do? Once you free yourself and you learn how to free yourself, then and only then can you go and free others. Don't be a person that watched the Harriet Tubman movie and don't think that you can't do the same. Free yourself. Learn how to free yourself. And then and only then can you go out and free others. See, I believe what's happening is black folk are trying to do the opposite. You're trying to free other people and you ain't freed yourself. So what really have you learned through experience? You only talking from theory. You're talking about what thing you think could work versus what has worked for you. There's a big difference. There's a big difference in what you think will work for somebody else versus what you know has worked for you. Free yourself. And then, and only then, are you in a position to help free others. want you guys to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, people. Matter of fact, we all we need. And thank God that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
It's the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Wall Street. With your host, Evan Jefferson. It's time for us to go. Yeah. Now, you ain't got to leave the computer, but we encourage you to get out there and learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street Book Club.